Hi guys, welcome to the Thursday class for Venture B2. The first thing we're going to do today is I'm going to hold up some questions and I want you to write the answers in your notebook and later send them to me. Okay, so these are the first questions. So number one says, what's something you must or have to or need to do each day? Number two, what's something you should or ought to do each day? Number three, what's something you don't have to do today? And number four, what's something you mustn't ever do? Okay, so can you write the answers to these four questions for your personal answers in your notebook? Okay, so when you're finished with that, you need to send that to me for homework. What we're going to do now is I'd like you guys to open your book to page 78 and 79. So these pages here, okay? Have a look at page 78 where it says language check. So talking about this grammar that I just showed you, look in the grammar box. It says verbs of advice and obligation. So number one, read the sentences and complete the rules with the words in bold. Okay, so I want you guys to read all 6 of those sentences and complete the gaps with the words in bold. Okay, so pause the video now, do the grammar box, and then we'll do it together. Okay, so now that you've done the exercise, have a look at letter A. Okay, so you've read all 6 sentences. Look at letter A in the grammar box. We use for advice. We use ought to and should for advice. They mean the same thing. Ought to is just more formal. Letter B. We use to talk about obligation or necessity. We use have to, must, and need to for to talk about obligation or necessity. Letter C, we use or don't need to when there is no obligation or necessity. We use don't have to, okay? And D, we use to express prohibition. We use mustn't, okay guys? So what I'd like you to do now is exercise number 2. It says choose the correct alternative and you just underline it or you circle it. So pause the video now and do exercise 2, okay? So now that you've done exercise 2, we're going to go over the answers together, okay? Something in my eye. So number 1, in tennis, you have to use a racket to hit the ball. You don't say should because it's not advice. It's something that's necessary. Okay? 2, football players mustn't touch the ball with their hands. It's prohibited. Don't have to means you can, but it's not necessary. And in football, you definitely can't touch the ball with your hands. 3, you don't have to wear protective clothing when you go skateboarding, but you probably should. Okay? It's not necessary, but it's good advice. Number 4, you shouldn't be afraid of heights if you want to go bungee jumping. Okay? It's advice. You shouldn't be afraid of heights. Number 5, you don't need to have a lot of skill to begin playing a sport, but you must be very good to play professionally, okay? So it's not necessary to have a lot of skills, but it's obligatory to be very good to play professionally. Number 6, you don't have to be tall to be good at playing basketball, but most of the best players are, okay? You don't have to. It's not necessary to be tall. Okay, you can't say should because it's advice. And there are many basketball players who are not tall and they're very good. Okay, what about 7? You don't need to pay for the yoga class. It's free. Okay, you can pay. Okay, it's not prohibited, but you don't need to. It's free. Okay. 8, You ought to warm up before jogging. It helps prevent injuries. So warm up is before you do some type of exercise, you do some stretching, you do a little bit of running, okay? So you ought to warm up. You should. It's advice, okay? Have a look at number 3. Write a sentence for each situation using a verb for advice or obligation. You have 5 sentences, and number 3 is for homework for me. You see your favorite sports star in a cafe. What should you do? What must you do? You feel terribly ill, okay? You're in a non-smoking area. Tomorrow is Sunday. Your flight leaves in 6 hours. So with modal verbs for obligation or advice, you need to write some type of sentence for each number, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, saying what you should or must or need to do or have to do or ought to do. Okay? Perfect. When you've done that, we're going to move on to the next part here. Okay? This purple box here. I have some more questions that I need you to answer, and I want you to send them to me as well. Okay? So here is your second set of questions. Number 1 says, what's something you could do when you are 4? Number 2, what's something you aren't allowed to do? You're not permitted to do it. Number 3, what's something cool you can do now? Like a secret talent. Number 4, what's something you won't be able to do in the future? So, be able to do is can, but in the future or the past, because we obviously don't have the way to say can in the future. You don't say will can. You say will or won't be able to. So pause the video now and answer these questions in your notebook, just like the ones from before. Okay? And send that to me for homework as well. So, after you've done that, I want you to look at the grammar box about permission and ability. Okay? It says read the sentences and complete the rules with can, can't, could, not be able to or not be allowed to or be allowed to. Okay? So pause the video and do this box here. Okay? When you've finished, unpause the video and we'll do it together. So letter A, we use can for permission and general ability in the present. B, we use could to talk about general ability in the past. C, we use be allowed to for permission in the past, present, or future. D, we use be able to for ability in the past, present, or future. Okay? So, what I'd like you guys to do now is look at number 5. It says, complete the sentences using a verb of permission or ability. Sometimes there is more than one possible answer. Okay, so we're going to do number 5, and we're also going to do number 6. Okay, so find and correct the mistake in each sentence. Can you pause the video now and do number 5 and number 6, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so I think I actually need a pen for this. We're going to do exercise 5. Yeah, we're going to do it on the board because otherwise it's too difficult. So you have to complete them. So number 1, I don't know what you have, but in basketball, what did you say? You are not allowed to hold the ball. No, you are allowed to hold the ball. Sorry, I better look at the answers because I'm not 100% sure. It's really late at night and I'm doing these videos. So, let's see. Exercise 5. I'm just going to have a look to check. Whoa, the book just fell. Okay, so exercise 5 says... Okay. You are allowed. Okay, you can... So you can say for exercise 5, number 1, you can or are allowed to. Okay, so can or are allowed to hold the ball. But you I think it's can't. Yeah, can't or aren't allowed to. So the second part is can't or aren't allowed to run with it. I think that's what it says. Run with it. It's against the rules. So these are the answers for number 1. This is the first part. You have 2 options. Either are the same, and this one as well. Okay? So number 2 for exercise 5 says, it's not raining, so we can. I think it's only can. Okay, no, it's can or are able to. They mean the same thing, okay? You can or are able to play tennis, okay? Sorry, you need to say play, and in the first one, you need to say hold. Sorry, I forgot the verb, okay? Number 3, it says, my bicycle was broken, but I was able to fix it. Okay, only was able to fix it, because you can't say can in the past. Okay, you could say could, but it means a little bit different. Could means it was your ability, and this means that this is something that you did. I was able to fix it. Have a look at number 4. Oops. Golf when you were young. So for number 4, you could say could. Could you play? You can also say were you able to, but could you play is better because it's an ability. It's like a skill that you have. Okay, that's when we use could. Number 5 says, let's see, I've broken my leg, so I'm sure to part in the match next week. So I've broken my leg. I won't be able to take part. It won't be possible. Okay, I won't be able to take part. Okay, that's number 5. Number 6 says, for example, how long for a year? Okay, how long have you been able to drive? How long have you been able to drive? Okay, how long have you been able to drive? It's like permission, something that you can do, but it's not really like a skill so much. It's like something that you do every day. Okay, and number 7, out on weeknights when I was in school, my parents wouldn't let me. I couldn't go out, or I wasn't allowed to. Okay, so you could say couldn't or wasn't allowed to. Okay, guys, so these are the answers for exercise 5, page 78. Okay, if you want, you can pause this and check your answers with what you put. Check your answers with what I put, sorry. Okay, now that we finished with this, I'm going to erase it, and we're going to do exercise 6 together on the board. Okay, so hang on just a second. So exercise 6, you had to find the mistakes and correct them. So let's see. We're trying to bear in mind what I told you about the differences between could and be able to, and different words like that. That's what we're going to focus on. So in number 1, he could pass his exam yesterday is not right, because could is like a skill or an ability. So you need to say he was able to. So for exercise 6, number 1, he was able to. Past, okay? You don't say he could. You say he was able to. Sorry, you can't really see that very well. That's number 1. Okay, number 2, she was able swim well in the competition. She was able to. Okay, we always need to. Able to. Number 3, if you work hard, you can do it. Okay, remember, can doesn't exist. You need to use be able to. You will Be able to do it. We'll be able to do it. Okay. Number 4, we didn't allowed to go to bed late. So the verb is to be allowed. So the past of to be is not didn't. It's wasn't or was, were or weren't. In this case, it's negative. So we weren't allowed. We weren't allowed. Like this. And number 5, I can't to run faster than you. You don't need to. The same as must to. You don't say must to. You say must. I can't run faster than you. So these are the answers for number 6. Well done. You probably got those right because you've seen them so many times. Now what we're going to do is have a look at page 79. 79 has a bunch of different vocabulary words, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pronounce them for you. These ones here, okay? I'm going to pronounce them for you, and I would like you to copy my pronunciation, okay? So where it says tennis, I'm going to read them, and I want you to copy what I say. So tennis, umpire, court, scoreboard, spectators, net, and racket. Okay. Baseball, helmet, bat, glove, field, catcher, pitcher. Football, boots, referee, goal, whistle, goalkeeper, and pitch. Athletics, lane, stadium, field, athlete, javelin, track. Okay, here, obviously, you've got different sports, tennis, baseball, athletics, and football, and you have a lot of different gaps. You need to read the texts and put the words in the correct gaps, okay? So pause the video and do this now, and I'm going to correct it with you when you're done. So pause the video, do exercise 7, fill in all the gaps, and then we'll do it together. And we're only going to do it speaking. We're not going to write it down because I think that you know what I'm saying, okay? So I'm just going to say number 1 is this, number 2 is this, and you follow along. So I assume that you've finished exercise 7 now, and I'm just going to read you the answers. So number 1 is court. Number 2 is racket. Number 3 is net. Number 4 is umpire. Number 5, spectators. 6, scoreboard. 7, field. 8, pitcher. 9, bat. 10, catcher. 11, glove. 12, helmet. 13, pitch. 14, goalkeeper. 15, goal. 16, referee. 17, whistle. 18, boots. 19, stadium. 20, lane. 21, track. 22, athlete. 23, javelin. And 24, field. Okay? So that's all that we're going to do in the book on these pages. The last piece of homework I have for you guys to give to me next week is on page 75 here, this page, which is a review from Unit 6. I want you to do part 2, part 3, and part 4, okay? You guys need to do this. This is practice for the reading and use of English part of your exam. It's not really the reading at all. It's just the use of English part. So in addition to the small exercises I gave you in this lesson, I'd like you to do page 75 as well. Okay, guys? So if you have any questions, please let me know and have a good weekend. Okay, we'll see you next week. Bye.